Welcome back to Kings of the North. Last day here at Big Ten Media Days. Doug Lesmerises and Bill Landis, and a lineup of what I think was 8 pretty interesting interviews. Yeah. Just so you guys know how this goes here. You try to set stuff up. You're running around. You're talking to sports information directors. You're just telling people we're at table 20. We'd love to talk to your guys. And then you wait. And you think nobody knows who we are. And your self-esteem plummets. And you think this show is going to be nothing. And then at the end of the day, like 3 people come over in the last 20 minutes and you get 3 great interviews and you leave on a high. Leaving on a high?
I am leaving on a high. Yeah. Because one of the last interviews we did was awesome.
Yeah. And we're going to lead the show with it. And that's a guy that we think you're going to love. There's a couple guys on this show today that we think you're going to love. And we want Northern fans to appreciate Northern college football players. Mike Katic, an offensive lineman for Indiana, is going to kick off the show. And man, Landis, we've been doing this a while. We haven't had a lot of those.
It was pretty great. And it's not just because I have a soft spot in my heart for offensive linemen. He was funny. He was engaging, self-deprecating.
Yeah.
Checking all the boxes.
Yeah. Bruce Feldman, national sports writer from The Athletic, from Fox Sports. He joined us to talk about Michigan.
Yep.
We thought we had an interesting conversation about where the Wolverines are headed, which is a super important part of Northern football right now, the defending national champs. Then we had like a rare opportunity. We had a double interview. We helped players become friends.
We did, and you also sprung a double interview on me. We were mid solo interview that you then turned into a double interview that I was hosting on the fly.
And I left.
Yeah.
It's Dragan Kesich, our All-North kicker of the year from Minnesota last year. He's back this year. And then we introduced Terrance Ferguson, the Oregon tight end, into the equation, and you killed it. It was all great.
It was awesome. Yeah, it actually was really cool. Yeah.
You made it happen. And then another great interview, Ruben Hyppolite, linebacker from Maryland, who wants to get into the media business, and he just crushed it. Again, like super funny and interesting and personable. We think you'll like that one.
He's the new host of Kings of the North.
Yeah. We're definitely getting fired. Kamren Fabiculanan, safety from Washington, 6th-year Husky, super interesting, like a guy who decided to stick it out there. We appreciate that. Darius Taylor, running back from Minnesota, who was hurt part of last year, but as you noted, and then you interviewed him, like ran for a bunch of 200-yard games when he was healthy.
Yeah, like really sort of under the radar player, I think nationally, who if he stays healthy this year, will be one of the best running backs in the country.
Then we were happy to have Makari Paige, who's one of the Michigan safeties, part of this great Michigan defense, and talking about the idea that even though Michigan lost a lot defensively, they have a lot back because they played so many guys last year. And then we wrap it up with Jeffrey Bassa from Oregon, who was one of the best linebackers in the Pac-12 last year and will be one of the best linebackers in the Big Ten this year.
Yeah, great. I mean, it was a really impressive group of guys. For sure.
Yeah. So we think you'll like the show. If you missed anything the previous 2 days, go back and watch that. We also dropped in sort of a special extra edition on the Kings of the North feed. It was a half-an-hour interview with Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjork. He's been talking to a lot of people, but we didn't just ask about Ohio State. We asked about North versus South. We asked about the future of college football, and he has an idea that we're going to forward to Roger Goodell to get the NFL to pay college football, because college football needs money, for being a de facto minor league. That was an idea that we necessarily had not heard people say before.
No, I like the idea. And like I've heard it kicked around probably by mostly writers, but yeah, I never heard somebody like with power in college athletics express that idea.
Yeah, when you're the AD formerly at Texas A&M and now at Ohio State, guess what? You have some power.
Yeah.
People listen to you. All right, so now we're going to tell Paul Finebaum to cram it. You've done a nice job. You haven't done enough. Penn State fans expect excellence. They expect championships. They're getting a little tired of 10-2 seasons. That was something that Paul Finebaum said about James Franklin on ESPN. I know that happened because ESPN put it on Instagram. So I'm quoting their own Instagram. We got it, Paul. We're here now. You don't have to put our coaches' names in your mouth to talk about stuff from an SEC Southern perspective. Because guess what? In the North, we don't automatically fire people the minute they fall this much short of unrealistic expectations. We know how you do it in the SEC, but we don't want to be the South, and we don't need your opinion from the South about what's happening in Northern college football, which is why we started this show. Here's the problem. Here is one of the problems with college football. It is a national sport, and what everybody does affects everybody else, especially when money's involved. Previously, that's related to paying coaches, and the reason that coaches' salaries went through the roof is because desperate SEC programs were like, oh, we don't know what to do. We think we should win national championships, and we stink. Let's go get, by the way, a coach from the North to come save our program, right? That's usually what they do. And then they throw an extra like $4 million on top. And now everybody, that's now the going rate. And now we'll see if that happens in NIL. But the South, because of its lack of prudence, because of its desperation, I think the South often takes pride in its desperation, takes pride in its lack of patience, takes pride in having an itchy finger and like, you didn't meet our standard, you're gone. And they think that's the way you do business. And then they look up here where we care about college football. But guess what? We also have a brain. And we don't need to fire everybody the nanosecond we don't meet expectations. We don't need it anymore. We got it. So thanks for pining on James Franklin. We already had a better discussion about that with the great Audrey Snyder on a previous show. Like, we got it covered, man.
Nobody more informed on the subject than Audrey Snyder.
10-win seasons the last 10 years. James Franklin's been at Penn State for 10 years.
10 years.
Alabama, 10 for 10. Their coach retired. Georgia, 8 out of 10. Oklahoma, 7 out of 10. Very good. Also, Oklahoma's new.
Mm-hmm.
So we got the guy who retired, the best team in the SEC, and a new one. Penn State, 5. James Franklin has had 5 10-win seasons at Penn State. The seasons that Paul Finebaum says people are tired of. Mm-hmm. But he has more of them than LSU, which has 4 in the last decade, then Florida and Ole Miss, which have 3 in the last decade, then Texas and Missouri, which have 2 in the last decade, then Auburn and Tennessee, which have 1 in the last decade, and then Texas A&M, which has none in the last decade. Texas A&M hasn't won 10 games in 10 years, but yet Penn State's tired of it. And yet it doesn't meet the standard. And Paul Finebaum can't stand there. Paul Finebaum's tired of it. Why don't you worry about your schools in the SEC who would kill to have 5 10-win seasons in 10 years? We get it. Nick Saban's a legend. Kirby Smart's pretty good at this. And Oklahoma had a good history and they just got there. Texas has 2 10-win seasons in the last decade. So if Penn State fans want to be tired of it, okay. Nobody down there is tired of Penn State winning 10 games because they would kill to be what Penn State's been under James Franklin.
Yeah, they would. I mean, what's the 95% of the SEC would kill to be what James Franklin has been. Yeah.
So the thing that happens in the SEC is we clump together SEC success, but meanwhile, it's programs other than Bama and Georgia going like this and having no consistency and having a peak and then they fall off. Yes, LSU's won national titles. They've dropped in 5-win seasons in between national titles. So then you're not able to appreciate consistent winning because all you do is think about the peaks. Peaks matter, but you know what else matters? Being up here and not doing this all the time. So in the SEC, if you're not Nick Saban, you do a lot of this and somehow they think that's better because all the SEC ever does is claim the peaks and ignore the valleys. And they act like it's all one big thing. It's not. It's inconsistent programs and ravenous fan bases and overeager boosters and donors demanding ridiculous things. So we got it. Yeah, Penn State probably needs to make the playoff, but we don't need anybody in the South complaining about 10-win consistent seasons in the North. Here's a great show. He's Bill Landis. I'm Doug Lesmerises, and we got a bunch of good interviews for you here on Kings of the North. Joined now on Kings of the North by Mike Katic, offensive lineman from Indiana. Thanks for joining us here on the show.
Thanks for having me.
I explained the show to you. What do you think about this? Northern show, celebrate Northern college football. You in?
I love it.
Yeah. Pittsburgh guy.
Pittsburgh guy.
That's right.
Yinzer through.
He's a Yinzer.
Yeah. Are you a Yinzer?
I am.
Like his head coach.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And Shanahan and Sincere.
Was that like serendipity? Like you're there, you're at Indiana, you've made 37 career starts, you're a Hoosier through and through, and now they drop a Yinzer right on you. What do you think?
Well, I grew up with his niece. She was in my class in high school and middle school and elementary school. So I know it's Coach Cignetti's sister's family, that I'm really close with. So,
Oh my god.
yeah, it was like all the small world stuff, and he's like, "Come play again." I was like, "All right, let's do it."
Unbelievable.
Yeah, he's got. You don't have the accent as much though. At least I'm not picking up on it. He's got it.
Oh,
real
bad. Same with my dad, because I grew up like 15 minutes north of Pittsburgh. My dad grew up like in Mount Troy. It's heavy accent. Yeah.
Downtown and all
Downtown.
that.
Oh yeah. Let's go over there.
Yeah, I had a friend in Ohio one time. She was from Pittsburgh, and she had Yinzer as her license plate. And I was like,
I like that. I might need that.
Celebrate it.
I might get a Hoosier one.
There you go.
There you go.
You're a Hoosier Yinzer. Yeah, that's a great combination.
That's a great combo.
Did you play any snow games in high school ever?
State championship?
No. Tell us.
All right. So my junior year, we were 15-0 going into the state championship game. We were just dog stomping teams. And we were a public school, grew up with all these kids playing, and we were playing St. Joe's Prep out of the Philly. Yeah.
In Hershey Park Stadium.
Yeah. Unbelievable team. They had Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
They had the linebacker.
Who's a linebacker?
Jeremiah Trotter.
Trotter Jr. and quarterback.
Kyle McCord.
And they were young though. They were no. This would have been their freshman year. We played them the year after, and they destroyed us. But we'll get to that. It was December 9th, my dad's birthday. We went up to Hershey Park, and it was covered in snow. And like how Hershey Park, they have the pine trees on the end zones, and they were just covered in snow. The fields, like only the hash marks in the lines were dug out, and my cleats were clumping up. It was unbelievable. We beat them 42-21 or 41-21, and that was the first state championship ever in the history of Pine Ridge football. And then, it was unbelievable.
You hear that? You hear that, South Alabama? You don't get stories like that in Alabama. There's no snow on the pine trees.
Nope. It was like magical. It was like a winter wonderland. Cold as hell. Okay, I swear.
Yeah.
It's my bad.
You're a Hoosier Ginger. We'll allow it.
It was very cold, and no sleeves. Obviously, as a no lineman, you can't wear sleeves.
Right.
So we were just out there, man.
You are not the first person this week to talk about playing in the North and talk about how Jay Higgins was talking about from Iowa. You can't wear sleeves.
No.
Why can't you wear sleeves? Your arms are cold.
It's just a thing that O-linemen are tough on paper. We got to be tough, and we can't wear sleeves. Come on.
Well, plus you don't want to give a defensive lineman anything to grab onto either, right?
Yeah. You can't pull your
That's why I
skin
always
off.
think when I'm watching like high school recruiting camps and they're like in the one-on-one pass rush drills,
Yeah.
and the defensive linemen have their shirts off and the offensive linemen have their shirts on. It's BS.
Yeah. I don't like it. I don't even watch the high school one-on-ones anymore. It's like, I don't know.
You're angry on behalf of offensive linemen.
Yeah, because everyone's like, "Oh, wow, this kid won against this left tackle." It's like, of course he did. He's sweating and he has no shirt on. There's literally nothing to grab onto.
So, where Indiana football is right now, right? What's the energy like around the program? You talk about so there's a bunch of Pittsburgh guys, but like the vibes around here, it's a winning staff that's coming in here. Answer that first, and then I'll tell you a discussion we had on the show a little bit ago. Okay. What's the vibe?
The vibes and energy are, so high right now. We're really excited. Obviously, Coach Signetti brings a confidence and a big swagger around that facility, and we're just excited. He brings a different vibe that the team is really picking up on, and we're really excited to play for him and play in front of our fans again. And it's just, I'm really excited. I love fall. I love football season. And it's just, I'm ready to get after it.
So we have discussed how much JMU is too much JMU, right? So they brought not just all the staff, but 13 or 15 transfers from JMU. You were very much like, they're a winning program. You can't have too much JMU. I don't know. It's a lot of JMU guys. Are they still wearing their JMU stuff? Like they're Hoosiers now, but
sometimes they wear their JMU, and I'm like, I think that's got to go.
Yeah, you're a Hoosier now.
And I've said that with all the transfers that come in wearing their old schools. I'm like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But no, I love the JMU guys. Two of them are the O-linemen, and they're just awesome. We get together so well, and they're just great dudes to be around. And then, you have Fish, who's been great for us, had a great spring, and all the guys. Mikhail, he really opened my eyes in the spring. He had a great spring. He's so twitchy, fast, strong. I mean, he's gonna be a guy this year. I'll tell you that right now. And just everyone. I mean, I'm just super excited. The strength staff from JMU is awesome. Coach Dio, Derek Owings, he's awesome. Just I'm really excited. The energy's high and
awesome,
positive vibes.
You mentioned Coach Ignetti's swagger. It is apparent. Is there any part of it, like as a player, like, all right, we're the ones that got to go out on the field and do it, man?
I was
giving speeches.
I was saying to Fish earlier, I'm like, Fish, we're the ones that have to go do this and back it up. I'm like, dude. But no, it's awesome. It fires us up. And I think it creates a mantra around the program that, you know, we're not screwing around. Like, we're coming to win. And if you don't think we're going to win, then, you know, Indiana's not the place for you.
Love it.
Love it.
Yeah. You played left guard and center.
Yes.
You're playing center this year.
Yes.
Right. What is it about your game that sort of allows you to be kind of a versatile offensive line, move around a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's just my knowledge of the position, like of the O-line itself. You know, as a center, you got to know what every guard and tackle is doing on every play. You gotta read coverages, read defenses. You know know when the corners crash, and know when the safeties rotate. They're probably bringing blitz. Tendencies that you pick up on. It's all these things that I've picked up on as I got older, and I think that's how I'm successful at the position, because I'm just very mature and knowledgeable of the position. And, you know, that frees me up to help everyone around me and get the younger guys going and get the new freshmen who have taken huge strides this summer. And, you know, it's really exciting for me because, you know, as an old head, I look back and I can see myself in these freshmen, and I know what they need. And I know Coach Bostad's going to get these guys right. And they got me right. I mean, I was like already, you know, a senior, and Bostad kind of flipped my whole knowledge of the game, and it's been great so far.
So
I have a Pittsburgh question I want to ask.
Yeah.
You can go ahead.
No, you asked.
It better be about Primanti Brothers.
It's 100% about Primanti
Yep,
Brothers.
love it.
Okay, so I don't like it. What
are you?
That's not a question.
Whoa.
It's not a question.
Whoa.
But I want to ask you. I am willing to entertain the idea that perhaps I have misordered when I've gone there, not gotten the right thing.
What have you gotten? The roast beef or something? The capicola?
Capicola.
Okay.
Yeah. I just find it to be like a kind of a dry sandwich.
That's fair. Okay. That's totally fair. And here's what I do. This is a great introductory sandwich for Primanti Brothers. Okay. The Pittsburgher. So it's a burger patty. Okay. 2 unbelievable white pieces of white bread sourdough, and then you got coleslaw and fries. So what I do is I pound it with ketchup.
Okay.
And then the coleslaw and the fries have such different textures, and then it's just, oh man, I can't believe you don't like it.
Oh, maybe I need to try the Pittsburgher.
That's my go-to, and dip it in ketchup.
Yeah.
I promise. I mean, it's just, oh man, it's awesome. I love that place.
What kind of question is that? Do you love Primanti Brothers? I hate it.
No, I'm looking for guidance.
Oh, okay.
You know what? So we told you before we started recording, my wife is from Pittsburgh, and the Primanti's that's closest to where she grew up also serves pizza.
Really?
The pizza's not bad. Yeah,
I've never had pizza from Primanti Brothers.
It's not too far.
Because you're eating the sandwich with the fries. Why are you not bothering with pizza?
Yeah, it's not too far from your Pine Richland guy.
Yeah.
So they live.
I'm in Gibsonia.
So she's a Deer Lakes High School grad. So it's like,
oh my God, it's right there.
It's like 20 minutes from where you're.
Less than I can get to Deer Lakes in 6 minutes.
Yeah,
you've entered the Pittsburgh suburb portion of the show.
Anyway, that Primanti's has pizza down there.
All right.
So before we let you go, how old are you?
I'm 23.
Okay. Could you get into bars when you were 16?
No, because I didn't have this.
Is that the magic right there?
Yeah, I mean, you know how many people, our media team posts pictures of me like on Twitter, and I mean, this guy looks like a 40-year-old plumber. Who is this 38-year-old sales associate? I didn't know Indiana football had a grandpa on the team with 3 kids and 7 grandkids. This guy looks like John Candy. This is who's the James Corden. I mean, it's nuts. This guy looks like every cop and every sheriff in your town. Dude, it's nuts. And people just, I love it. I encourage people to absolutely hammer me on Twitter and stuff because it makes my day.
Because then now the defensive linemen have to pay for it. Because like, oh shit, I'm a 38-year-old plumber.
There you go.
Right in the game.
And I'm like, dude, I love it. I mean, I'll take whatever shade you want to throw at me. It makes my day.
But
it's funny.
It doesn't make it, you never think goodbye to the stash.
Dude, this has been a part of. Everyone knows me by the stash now.
I love it. Oh my
God.
God.
People are just like, dude, that's a great. And I think it's Ashley, the person who was interviewing us up on the stage was like, wow, your mustache looks so much better in person. I go, yeah. I know. It's awesome.
Love it.
We should have a stash of the week maybe on the show.
He's going to win.
He's going to win every week.
Oh, man.
We are going to have block of the week for real on the show.
Okay.
And then we want to reach out and try to get the lineman who made the block on so Bill can talk O-line for a while. So go crush some people and we'll have you back on.
Absolutely.
All right. He's Mike Katic. He's a Yinzer. He's made 37 starts at Indiana. And the Hoosiers are ready, I think, to make the Big Ten take notice this year.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us here on Kings of the North.
Thank you.
Joined now on Kings of the North by Bruce Feldman from Fox Sports. You can listen to him on the Audible with Stu Mandel, right? You guys been doing that for what, 10, 20 years?
10 years. Feels like 20. You've worked with Stu. You know what that's like.
And so Bruce knows all about college football, but I'm interested for some of your thoughts on Michigan. Bruce, when we think about a team that I think it was last season was Michigan's greatest season in its history. I'm not asking you that to go back through. Maybe 1871. I don't know. How much do you think they can and will retain of maybe beyond the team this year, but in the program when you don't just lose Jim Harbaugh, but you lose the strength coach and a bunch of assistants, and they lost so much talent off the field. Do you think Michigan can be a reasonable facsimile of what it was a year ago?
Yeah, but I think that might mean 8-4, 9-3.
Okay.
I don't think that's beat Ohio State, on the road. I don't think it's a real national title contender this year because it's not just losing Jim. And I know obviously Jim wasn't the head coach for every game last year, but he was there in practice. He set the tone. I think as good as Sharon is, and as an O-line guy for life, I think that physicality is something that is a part of him. Just think you lost, as you said, Herbert was as good a strength coach as there is. Now he went with him to the Chargers. And they also had a lot of leaders. That's the problem, I think, on top of that was the whole offensive line's gone. JJ's gone. And I know Donovan Edwards has a big personality, which we saw here today. But Blake Corum was also a leader. And then you got on the other side of the ball, like Mikey Sainer still was a huge presence for them. They just lost so many good leaders that I think there will be a little bit of a step back. And so to me, if they go 9-3, you could still make the playoff at 9-3.
Yeah, especially with their schedule for sure.
Yeah.
You say step back, Bruce. You think like just temporary step back and then ramping it back. I'm just wondering, like the last 3 years we've seen of Michigan, and obviously they're not going to go undefeated every year, but perennial playoff contender, national title contender kind of seasons. Do you see that in their future without Jim Harbaugh, or do you think Sharon Moore, even if they have a little bit of a step back here, like can he get them back to rather quickly back to what they've been the last 3 years?
I think it, like again, you use the term like facsimile of, I think it's a little bit different equation now because we have a 12-team playoff, right? And so if he can make the playoff within the next 3 years, it's different than making the last version of the playoff where it was 4 teams.
Right.
Right. And so, and I didn't go to Michigan, but I feel like the expectations at Michigan to me, this is probably going to sound like sacrilege to their fans, but isn't the same as what it is at Ohio State. Like, I feel like at Ohio State, it's like national title or bust, right? It's almost like Urban won a national title. He only won one.
Right.
Right. Because you look at the players who came through there and you see what they're doing in the NFL and you see the recruiting rankings that on the front end and the NFL talent on the back end. With Michigan, it was like snap the streak, be competitive with them. And again, I'm not saying they have to beat them one out every 4 years for them to feel like, okay, Michigan's, back to what Michigan should be. My sense is, again, Harbaugh was such like a force of nature there. You look at what happened to Stanford when he left, like eventually they just weren't the same.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to, it's hard to sustain that. He didn't stay. This was the longest he stayed anywhere. Right. So he did great things at the 49ers in 3 years. And I don't know. I feel like it almost takes a toll. I'm not saying Sharon can't do it. I imagine they could recruit at a higher level on paper, but will they develop the players the same? It's also a different conference, but yeah, I think they will be a playoff team within the first 3 years, and we'll go off that.
I mean, they are playing arguably 3 of the best 4 teams in the country this year in Texas, Oregon, and Ohio State. Like this isn't,
yes.
We spent so much time last year talking about Michigan's schedule and waiting for them to be tested. And it's like, man, like Sharon Moore is being thrown into it right away. And that doesn't even include talking about USC in September as well. So like this is, we've sort of talked about this. They could be a very good team and be 9-3 or 8-4,
And be in,
right?
Yeah, that's true. And I think also what you're talking about, we have, we have the Texas game early on for Big Noon, but that's like you're breaking in a new quarterback,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's a big question mark for them. You bring in a new quarterback and an entirely new offensive line.
Yeah.
So the schedule is harder. I would agree with you. If you ask me, who are the top 4 teams, those would be, if Georgia's the one team they don't play.
Yeah.
Right. But, that's a great point to make.
What do you think of Sharon Moore, Bruce, and like his ability to handle his job, or probably now increased expectations at that program, given what happened last year, and kind of carry things forward?
Yeah, I think one thing that he seemed to learn from Jim more than anything else was be authentic, be me. We saw that. My colleague Jenny Taft at the end of the Penn State game did this interview, and it was quite a scene because on one hand Sharon's being talking about faith, and on the other hand there's F-bombs and it's like in the mix or whatever, and it was a very authentic moment. And so talking to a couple of the Michigan players about, like, one of them told me today, I remember being on the bus back and seeing that clip, and I think players really want to play for him, and that's a big piece of this. Obviously, we all have spent a lot of time around the Big Ten over the years. One of the things I always wonder was, like, what is it about Jim Harbaugh that makes him a really, really good coach? You couldn't really put your finger on it for a while. And ultimately, I think it's like he is who he is. There's no, like, there are certain guys, people wonder if it's an act or not. It's like, that's not an act with him. And I think it works. And I think with Sharon, we saw that, and I think he's learning from it. But again, as we've seen, whether it's Lincoln Riley or Ryan Day, guys who've taken over from the place they've been and had a big part in, and then they keep some of the big pieces of it, they have a chance to get a lot of traction. But then, eventually we'll see, you have to see how it really plays out.
Do you have any theory of the case if you were an AD? And I really do think schools should hire more ADs from the sports writer rank. I think you'd be a great AD, Bruce.
I don't even do my own expense reports. Stu handles all our finances with the podcast. Like, I know nothing about, like, adult world.
You have completely torpedoed your
I'm
candidacy.
sorry.
I was trying to pump you up there. College football lost the national championship coach, and they lost the greatest college football coach of all time in the same year. One school replaced Jim Harbaugh by promoting somebody from within, and Sharon Moore, and Alabama did the complete opposite, which was go get the best coach we can get from the outside. Do you have a thing that you believe works better? Does it depend on the circumstance? I have expressed reservations about Kalen DeBoer's fit at Alabama, and I'm very curious about it. I do think there are some people who maybe would say, man, Michigan could have gone and gotten an established head coach. Maybe they would have questions about promoting Sharon Moore. How do you think schools should go about it?
I don't think Michigan could not promote Sharon Moore.
Okay.
Because not only did he have an integral role in them turning that program around, he actually coached a bunch of games. The way, fate worked out with the NCAA issues with Jim Harbaugh, he actually was, and he won in Happy Valley, right? I mean, you went to school there. I mean, that's not an easy place to play. And so I don't know how, like, you do that, and I think you run the risk of having everybody leave and a lot of players go. You could also have, there's just a lot of optics to that.
Yeah.
That I think would be a really tough sell going forward for Michigan if they didn't make that move. And look, I think Sharon earned that job, and it's a unique job. Not to say that there aren't other really good coaches, like this replacing Saban. I think we're all too young to remember, like, replacing John Wooden or anything, but, like, as you said, greatest coach, and now all the challenges that come with it. And a lot of those guys either were like, okay, I'm good, I don't need that job. I spent a bunch of time around Kalen DeBoer, and I've gotten to know him over the last few years. And I work with Chris Peterson on the Fox side. And we had these interesting conversations about when he finally left Boise State to go to Washington. And as a lot of people remember, like he was the trick plays guy, the guy who got, Statue of Liberty pulled on Oklahoma and the Fiesta Bowl and all this. And he was, like kind of wild and loose in terms of his play calling and how he approached it. And he told me when he got to Washington, all of a sudden everybody's kind of over his shoulder and he did not become the same guy. And he said it's really hard to sustain that. And he knows Kalen, and he was kind of blown away by how Kalen can kind of still manage things the way Chris couldn't. Chris is really self-aware. And so, I think going to Alabama where the fishbowl is way more intense, that's going to be a big challenge. Now, he's recruiting really, really well, and I think that's off to a good start. He's a really good offensive coach. I say that, but like last year was probably one of the least talented teams Alabama had in a long time. They still made it to the playoff, but then Michigan beat them. They, they got whipped by Texas at home. I don't think the program he's taken over, they lost 3 really good defensive backs. One ended up in Columbus, and they lost their best, edge guy who's like a, top 15 pick. So it wasn't like this was like the old Alabama with all the great receivers and everything in place. He's going to have to rebuild this, not rebuild it like, what Fish has to, all the starters are gone, but it's not the Alabama that we're thinking is perennial. Oh, they're the default national title. I don't think they're that.
I want to ask you about Washington and Jedd Fisch, because you just mentioned it. We did a poll of writers for one of the 3 Big Ten polls that I guess came out. We had the most voters though. And Washington fans were upset with where they were picked. Was it 10th?
10th of 18.
They were upset. I think a lot of us sort of objectively view that job as a pretty massive rebuild there in Washington.
Yeah, 21 or 20. There were 20 starters in the national title game who are not there in the program anymore.
Right. So in my mind, it's simply even like being a bowl team, I think would be an accomplishment for them given where their roster is. Like, how do you see the season playing out for them?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at their schedule, the first 5 games are fairly winnable. Like Rutgers could be tricky because it's not like what we thought of Rutgers at this point last year.
I have Rutgers 7-2 in the Big Ten.
I didn't, we did this last night I didn't go that far, but I have them like 7 or 8 win team. Like we talked about Rutgers on the Audible last night, and credit to Schiano for what he's done there. And he's got impressive players and physicality on that team. That'll be a tough game. I think with Washington, I think if they get to 7 wins, that's a terrific year given all they lost. And I went up there about a month ago, and a big part of the story was him talking about how unique it is because they have like 4 different pods of players. It was like 24 guys who stayed from Washington. Some of those guys were guys who were on a 4-8 team before DeBoer got there. Then there was a bunch of guys who came from Arizona or were committed to Arizona. Then there's the other portal guys already who were not Arizona guys. And then there was the usual freshmen. And he was like, you got to get these 4 groups to really play as one team. And I think, to his credit, he is wired to be a college football head coach in this era of all this stuff. I mean, and we talked about this a little bit where, his dad ran a law firm. He doesn't have a conventional football coach's background, whereas like Chip Kelly used to be at UCLA. He was not wired to be the head coach in this era, and certainly not at that school where he was. I think Jedd Fisch is more wired to be that guy in this day and age.
So I'll bring it home here, Bruce, before we let you go. Pulling it together with Michigan and Washington. We start a show called Kings of the North. We want to celebrate Northern college football. And lo and behold, the national championship game is 2 Northern teams, and Michigan wins it. And isn't that good for us?
Great timing.
Do you, when we think about Michigan and Ohio State and Oregon and Penn State, and we include like Utah and West Virginia and Iowa State, it's clearly been a Southern SEC dominated sport for the last 20 years. But Saban is gone. And I would argue that I think maybe there are some things in place with NIL that provides maybe some more opportunities for some more of the Northern schools. Do you think those Northern schools that I just named, will they be more competitive at the highest level against Georgia and Alabama and Texas and LSU than maybe they have been in the previous 20 years? Is the North about to rise up?
To some degree,
what
yes.
show you're on?
Yes,
Oh, yes.
Yes. No, I would say so because, look, Oregon is running optimally in terms of their NIL. It's an attractive place for guys to go. And I think they have the right coach at this time, in Dan Lanning. A lot of coaches you talk to, it's like they have they're swooning at the NFL. They would much rather work in an NFL calendar and structure, whereas I feel like there's a sweet spot for Dan Lanning, right? I feel like right now, and this could blow up in my face and Ryan Day's face, 3 months from now. But I feel like they are really well positioned to make a national title run this year. I think Chip brings the run game to him, and that he's as good as in terms of the run game as anybody in football, especially in the college game. And I think that piece will play well because we know they still have receivers there, and Ryan's going to be good with the passing game. So and Michigan, I think, is going to take a step back. I think there's just a lot of stuff that sets up well for Ohio State. When I look at it, I was like, I think Texas is a dangerous team with Sark there, especially how they finished last year. It's not like Georgia's going to fall by the wayside, but then all of a sudden you look at the rest of the SEC, and now Lane Kiffin has some momentum. They've gotten active in the portal and NIL space. We got to see if he can actually do it. The last time Lane Kiffin had big expectations going into a season, he was at USC. There were preseason. It's a lot different than then. We're going to find out. And I feel like there's enough teams from the footprint you're talking about, with the playoff being what it is, where if you told me Oregon was going to play any team in the SEC, I think that is a legit heavyweight fight, because they have a really good quarterback. Carson Beck is really good, but I don't know if I look at the rest of the SEC and say, look at some of these other teams, whether it's Tennessee or LSU. I mean, I think some of these top teams can play with any of them.
Come back anytime, Bruce. That was a fantastic answer. Was not a fantastic answer. You can watch him on Fox Sports. You can read him at The Athletic. You can hear him on the Audible. Do you have any more jobs? Is that it?
That is it.
That is it. All right. He's Bruce Feldman. He's one of the best in college football. Thanks for joining us on Kings of the North.
Thank you. Good to see you guys.
Join now on Kings of the North by Bill. Is this the most famous person we've had on the show so far?
I think he is the reason the show exists.
Yeah. We start the show and I was like, man, we really need to find the right kind of people to celebrate. And Dragan Kesich, the Serbian Hammer.
Serbian Hammer, baby.
From the University of Minnesota, was our All-North kicker last year.
That's right.
On our All-North team. And now he's with us here at Big Ten Media Days. Thanks for being here, man.
It's an absolute honor. It's always a pleasure, never a chore.
Did you hear about it, that you were All-North kicker? Did that get up to Minnesota?
I did not. I'm not really on Twitter like that. So but I'm honestly honored. I'm going to look it up.
Yeah.
And I'll put it on to the Gopher fans too.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, man. Because you are here. You are the social media ambassador for Minnesota here at Big Ten Media Days. What does that mean you have to do?
Film a lot of videos of the other guys. kind of stay behind the camera. But, it's awesome just to be out here. It's a fun time. It's a great opportunity. So I'm happy to be here.
Okay.
Is that something you're kind of into outside of football, the social media stuff?
Well, see, my degree's in kinesiology. I was thinking,
not at all.
Not at all.
Smart guy stuff.
Yeah, but going to chiropractic school and stuff like that. But the more I do it, the more I like it. I look at Pat McAfee. Yeah. And he's just an awesome dude. And I was like, maybe one day, because I love being in front of the camera. I love doing stuff like that. I have my own fall camp show. So it's it's a fun time.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have enough kinesiologists in the world. We need some more show hosts. So, so obviously you caught everybody's attention last year. You kicked the game-winning field goal to beat Nebraska in the opener.
Yes.
Of on the list of things an average person would love to do. Mm-hmm. Make a hole in one.
Ooh.
Or
get a 300 in bowling.
Get a 300 in bowling. Well, that would be better. I mean, a game-winning field goal. 300 game in bowling would be. What is it like to kick a game-winning field goal, and how long does the high last?
It's honestly the most surreal thing I've ever been through in my life, because that was the first game that I was also so I did kickoffs my first 3 years. So that was the first game I did field goals, and the high lasted the rest of that day. And then the next day I was like, it's a new week, let's go. But it was I don't even know how to explain when I kicked it and I look up and it's going in, it was just everything else after that went blank. And it was my team picked up our holder and started throwing them in the air, and I was just over there on the side, and it was an awesome experience. But
okay.
I truly, I don't know what will do that for you guys. Maybe, do you guys still have eligibility left or no?
Technically.
Yeah.
Go out, be a kicker, and hit a game-winning field goal. I'm telling you, you won't regret it.
Yeah. Bill, continue the interview with your guy, Dragan. I'll be back in a second.
You're going to do a field goal? You're going to practice field goals?
I'll be right back.
All right. I want to know, it's we talk about the things in sports that are sort of the most difficult things to do. And I've always found kicking a football with any sort of accuracy and frankly distance to be incredibly difficult, almost akin to trying to hit a baseball.
Yeah, it's obviously kicking a football is more mentally tough than it is physical. But I mean, the more practice you have, like at anything, the better you're gonna get. And like I grew up playing soccer my whole life, so kicking a ball is like in my DNA, I guess. My dad played soccer, my brother played soccer.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just getting the mental health right in comparison to anything else.
I was wondering how you arrived at playing kicker, because typically you hear like you're on the soccer team in high school and the coach comes over to you and says like, "Hey, we need a kicker. Would you mind helping us out?" Is that how it went for you? Or?
No, it was actually my dad. So like I wanted to play football like everybody else, but he wouldn't let me. He's like, "You're gonna be a kicker," and I was like, "Nah, I don't want to do that."
Okay.
I was like, "I want to be like running back, anything other than kicker, because who wants to be a kicker, you know?"
Okay.
And so then finally I started going to camps, getting ranked nationally, and then I ended up in Minnesota, and now here we are.
We have Terrance Ferguson here from Oregon as well, Oregon tight end. You kick at all? You ever know how to kick football?
No, that's probably the weakest point of my football skill set, honestly. So I'm trying to take some points from this guy over here.
Do you know Dragan Kesich, a kicker from University of Minnesota?
Yeah, nice to meet you, bro.
All right.
Yeah.
We got Oregon and Minnesota here.
Yeah.
I'll ask both of you. So Minnesota is a stalwart of the Big Ten Conference. Oregon is new. What do you guys think of the expansion of the conference and these teams from the West Coast coming in?
I mean, it's awesome. It's a great opportunity. Were you there when Bucky Irving was there?
Yep, Bucky's my guy.
Yeah,
he
Bucky
came from Minnesota.
Yeah, he came from Minnesota. So one of our running backs went to Oregon. So I actually texted him yesterday. But it's cool. It's a new opportunity to get out west. I mean, we don't play them this year. It's my last year, so we didn't get to play them. But that's a cool opportunity, and I'm excited for them to be here.
How about you, Terrance?
I'm excited about it. There's a lot of cool matchups that we get to end up playing this year, and there's a lot of good football in the Big Ten, so we're excited to come over and see what it's all about.
Is there a new place where you guys will go this year that you're most excited to visit?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of places. I'd say Wisconsin and the Big House at Michigan. I think will be two places that are somewhere we didn't want to go normally. We played Ohio State my freshman year in the Horseshoe, so they come to us this year, though, so those are two places I'd probably be pretty excited to be at.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say we get to go out to UCLA, play in Pasadena, Rose Bowl. So, I mean, growing up, like watching Wisconsin football, because I'm from Wisconsin, like them going to the Rose Bowl and all that stuff. So finally getting to play in Pasadena would be pretty cool.
You've been around the Big Ten a little bit. Any pointers for Terrance on where the toughest place to play is? If they're not going to Minnesota,
Iowa's I don't know if you guys play at Iowa, but Iowa is the toughest place to play. I mean, it's not even toughest. It's just like the atmosphere there is just unreal, dude. Everybody's so close. Like the sidelines are super tight.
Really?
And our game there was unreal last year, but their fans are super into it because they don't really have anything else there. So
we don't got them this year, but
oh yeah, I'm telling you, bro. If you can go back and like next year, like watch Oregon versus Iowa, I would do it, bro.
All right.
I think your guys' stadium probably has a reputation for being the toughest to play, especially of the schools that are coming over to the Big Ten. What's it like though? Maybe to play at USC, UCLA, or Washington? What are those places like?
No, Washington, especially last year. I don't like to give those guys any compliments or anything, but our game with them and theirs is built straight up and down. It holds the sound so well, and they get turned up for some good games. So I think that's probably the hardest place to play besides for other people, Autzen. But that's the only compliment I'll give Washington. Okay. So
do you guys play Nebraska or no?
No, we don't.
Oh, Nebraska Stadium's too cool. They get loud there.
Yeah.
They have like the longest. They have like it's like I don't even know how many years of consecutive sellouts. It's dope.
They kind of goose the numbers.
Yeah.
But it's impressive nonetheless. I wanted to ask you, Dragan, because you said you see a little bit of Pat McAfee in your future. Yeah. I think you and I are co-hosts now, and we're interviewing Terrance. Is there anything else you want to ask him?
You obviously you were there. How was Camden Lewis?
Camden Lewis that's my guy. He did a great job for us.
Yeah.
I think kicker is one of the hardest positions, especially mentally.
You hear that?
Not physically.
Oh, not physically. Mentally,
though, you go out there and you're on an island by yourself, and you're hated for the ones you miss, and you don't get any praise for the ones you make, really. So
yeah, that's a great answer right there. Big props.
I actually think there's some similarity, I think, between tight end and kicker. I know your jobs are vastly different. Yeah. In terms of being underappreciated,
oh yeah,
I think you guys are kind of in the same boat.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm not gonna lie. When people see me, they think I'm a tight end. Yeah, I'm like 6'5", 245. So it's like, who really thinks of the kicker? But
I thought he was a tight end over here when I sat down to come.
Yeah.
You ever lobby to play some offense? How are the hands? The hands all right?
Oh yeah, high school I was scouting quarterback. High school scouting. If you actually look in our bowl game, we ran a fake. I did not score, but I could get it done if we had to.
It makes it sound easy. It's not easy to play tight end.
Oh, not at all. Absolutely.
Is tight end the most difficult position to play in football because of all that's asked of you? Maybe quarterback.
I would give it to the quarterback, but besides that, we're most versatile for sure. You got to block the edges. We're the best pass rushers and some of the best athletes on the field, and then you got to go run routes against some of the safeties and the cover guys, and you're expected to win both of those. And you're usually either slower than the guy you're running against or you're smaller than the guy you're blocking. So you got to win matchups that aren't favored for you.
So why sign up to play that position? Why not
I asked myself the same thing. No, you know, I played wide receiver in high school, really, and I'm big.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going to play wide receiver, and I'm not as fast as the receivers. So I kind of just, you know, get thrown in the position.
Yeah. So we are Kings of the North. Part of what we celebrate is the elements, the weather that you have to play in sometimes when you're playing in this part of the country or even farther north from here. Dragan, I'm sure you have plenty of experience with that playing at Minnesota. What's it like to play in the snow? And you have any pointers for Terrance, who I'd imagine you've not experienced playing in the snow very much?
Actually, I'm from Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
So I played in negative degree weather, rain, snow.
Both got it.
He's ready.
Yeah,
he's ready. I think
I've been through it.
Yeah, the coldest game we had, it was Iowa 2022. It was like the field was like negative 14. The ball was like a rock. But honestly, with all the heaters and stuff on the sideline, it's not too bad. But when you get to the snow and those like the rain games and stuff like that, and just the cold weather, it's I embrace it because, you know, being from Wisconsin, you know, I just grew up in that stuff. But it'll be interesting to see that, especially like USC and UCLA coming over into the cold weather. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you're ready for it. You're built.
Oh
for
yeah,
it.
you got to worry about those guys, maybe the LA guys, but
we asked a couple of them about it yesterday, and you could see in their eyes like
they're a little worried about it.
The intimidation factor.
Yeah, it'll be fun though to see those guys come in. What's Oregon bringing to the Big Ten, Terrance?
You know, we're bringing explosive offense. First off, you know, that's what position I play on that side of the ball, and honestly, we're going to bring a lot of explosive plays, and then our defense as well is going to bring kind of a Big Ten defense to the Big Ten. You know, I'm excited to play a lot of these teams and see how we match up against a lot of these guys. So we're just really excited about the opportunity to be part of the Big Ten.
Yeah. You guys, both of your teams are going to have new transfer quarterbacks this year. I'll just ask you both. I don't know, Dragan, how well you get to know Max Brosmer, but what have you seen from him in the time he's been around your team?
I mean, it's really weird because like a kicker quarterback duo, like we hang out a lot.
Yeah.
We golf a lot. He's a tremendous leader. He's somebody who has a lot of experience. Down in New Hampshire, he was like Walter Payton or some award finalist. You know, he knows the offense. He knows what he's doing. He's a good locker room guy. Brings the team together. I'm excited to see what he does, and Minnesota fans should be excited.
How about Dylan Gabriel?
Oh, there's word. He's a different cat, you know. I can't really put it into words. He's came in and he's won the team over. He's an elite guy on the field and off. I think is really was stood out to me because he's includes everybody. Really great leader, down to earth. Like he's from Hawaii. He's just the most chill, relaxed guy. But then when he gets on the field, it switches, and he's learned the offense. Come in. He's obviously a vet, and has played a lot of football, and so he's impressed me a lot actually.
You've been in the Big Ten for a while, so it's probably an unfair question.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you this. I'm just curious, like around the league, like are there guys that you kind of like watching? Like,
I liked watching the Iowa punter last year, Torrey Taylor. He was dope. I mean, I don't really watch any other teams like that. I kind of just like watch our own guys. But if one name came to my mind, I honestly don't know. I don't know.
It's all right. Torrey Taylor's a good one.
Yeah, Torrey Taylor.
One of the best punters ever.
Yeah, but now he's at the Bears, so go Pack, go.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'll ask you this, Terrance, we'll wrap up with this.
Okay.
There are a lot of well-known guys, I think, on your roster. You guys had a really good year last year, so I think there are some household names. Did you come into the Big Ten who's someone who maybe hasn't played a major role for you guys yet, who will this year and maybe catch some people's attention?
That's a good question. We had a lot of transfers, a lot of guys. Honestly, I'm going to give our young tight end, he's a true sophomore. When he gets the ball in his hands, he's the most explosive person on the field. His name is Kenyon Sadiq.
Okay.
He's an athlete. He could play running back. He might take some handoffs. He might catch some balls. He might throw one. You know, he might kick one. I don't know. He's an elite athlete. He's probably the best athlete on the field at all times. He's like 6'4" and runs like 22 miles an hour or something like that. And he's hangs with all of us in the weight room. He's an elite athlete. And when he gets the ball in his hands, I think that's someone that's going to surprise a lot of people because he's a little hidden in the depth chart, but he's going to get the ball and make some things happen.
All right, we'll look forward to watching him. We'll look forward to watching Terrance Ferguson at Oregon and Dragan Kesich at the University of Minnesota. Thanks, Thank you
appreciate you
joining us on Kings of the North.
Of course, thanks for having us.
Joined now on Kings of the North by Ruben Hyppolite, who's a linebacker, but also a media man.
Yeah, man, yeah.
You have a podcast. You have the RubenKnows.com website, where I was learning about you. Tell us about your show with your teammates, though.
Yeah, so our podcast is called One Speed Entertainment. We're on YouTube. Myself, Dante Trader Jr., Bo Braid, we started this podcast last summer. We got bored one day. I wanted to share our, collegiate stories.
I love it.
We got inspired by the pivot. I Am Athlete, wanted that type of vibe, that type of feel. And our fans love it. Our community loves it. So we've had a lot of success with it. We started that up last summer. Still going strong now. So just, looking to maintain it and keep it going.
So now I'm nervous already, Bill.
Because he's better than us.
Because he's better at football than us. We already knew that. He's more handsome than us. We knew that. But now also, is there room for all of us? So you're the players. You're out there doing it. But just a bunch of slubs like this. Is there still room for us in the media landscape?
Y'all got some gifts too that the world needs, man.
Appreciate you.
Y'all ain't slubs, man. Come on.
You didn't have to say that.
I need better descriptive word. Slubs, man. Come on.
See, again, he's being better.
He's uplifting as well.
How did you? So you want to do this? You're already doing it, but it says like you'd like to get it. How did you decide? Like, hey, man, I maybe like to do this down the line once my playing days are over.
So I came into college as a kinesiology major. My mom, she's a compounding pharmacist, so she had her own pharmacy for 16 years. She makes medication, good with numbers. So I'm like, yeah, let me get into that. I want to be like my mom. She's very successful. Let me do that. First semester, I had math. I'm not successful at math, really.
We love this guy.
I need a lot of help.
Yeah,
I need a lot of help with numbers. That's why I have a great team with me. My mom included. So I'm like, I can speak though.
Yeah,
I can talk. So I'm like, let me do communications, try it out. Fell in love with it. Giving speeches was not a problem for me. Doing, video recordings is not an issue for me. So I'm like, yeah, let me do this and run with it. So, we're here now.
Love it.
So
love it.
When you think about the future, when your football career is over, do you think more of like the conversational podcast type of thing is your alley, or would you like to maybe get into like broadcasting, whether it's play-by-play or like commentary kind of stuff?
I think the podcasting is more of my alley, but I don't want to be a one-trick pony either. I definitely want to get into sports broadcasting as well. It's going to take some work, and I never shied away from work, so why not do both, get into both avenues. So but all in all, I think I'll have a lot of fun with it, get really creative with it. I already have a lot of ideas. Like my notes app is filled with ideas.
Nice.
So, I'll be ready to go when that time comes.
I feel like you could do some voiceover stuff too.
Resonance.
Yeah, a lot of people, say I have a very great voice, but I don't really like hearing myself talk. That's why this headset is kind of, weird for me. But it's all good though.
That's interesting because a lot of people say that I have a very irritating voice and it makes them not want to listen. Ruben, you are from Florida.
Yes, sir.
And we're coming over here. This show's still pretty new. Like we're explaining like what this show is.
Right.
And we celebrate the North, but part of what the North has to do is go and find great players in Florida and say, just come up here for a couple of years.
Right.
Why was Maryland the place for you?
Well, at the time, it wasn't a hot commodity. I wanted to be a big fish in a little pond. I was, highly recruited coming out of high school. And Coach Locks came, recruited me. Brian Williams recruited me, and then I met with Coach Locks as my process continued to as we went deeper into the process. He told me his plan that he had for the program, and how I could fit in that role to help the program grow. I took a leap of faith, stepped out on faith, just believed in him and his process, and we're here now, reaping the benefits.
Yeah.
So that's why I chose to come up north, and be a king up here.
Oh, man. We're so happy you're here.
That's what it is, yeah.
So what? I'm looking, Alabama was interested in you, and Auburn and Florida and Miami. Like, what is, so you've lived it.
Yeah.
You're a good communicator. What advice, if you're talking to a coach in the North, right? And they're going to recruit a player in the South, and they're trying to, it's all about relationships, and you got to, but what can coaches up here do to try to get good players from the South to maybe say, I'm not just going to go play in the SEC?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing they should look for is high character guys. Because if you're going down south, 9 times out of 10, a lot of the guys down there are athletically gifted. They can play, whether it's recruiting for football, basketball, whatever sport it is, they can play that sport. This is the thing about the South. I think character is what we value the most. If a coach in the North wants a great leader, great role model, great character guy, that's what they should look for when they come down south to find players.
Okay.
Because, you know, 9 times out of 10, we already have the athletic gifts. So, you know, there's no need to recruit that. Just recruit the character, and you know, they'll most likely, you know, find gems.
I want to ask you about Coach Locke is an offensive guy. I think their reputation kind of precedes him a little bit. Obviously, Talia was such a fixture in your program for a long time. I think when people probably talk about Maryland football, the first thing they think about is offense, but your defense has been pretty good the last couple of years. And I feel like, especially like in the front seven, defensive line, linebacker, you guys have really taken a step forward maybe the last 2-3 years. What was the spark of that, do you think?
All credit goes to Brian Williams. You know, like I said before, football is 90% mental, 10% physical. The physical part supersedes itself. You know, you train every day, lift every day, live the right way, eat right, whatever. You know, your body's going to catch up. But the 90% part is what constantly needs to be filled. You know, sometimes you're in the 90s, sometimes you're depleted. So what Brian Williams does with our defense, he challenges us every day. You know, whether it's a good day, a bad day, or a tweener, like he always challenges us mentally to just move the needle a little bit more. He always hits a nerve that just makes us want to play for him. And go out and go to war. Like we're always ready and prepared to do whatever we need to do with him at the helm. So, I mean, all credit goes to him.
Yeah. When any team is going to play a new quarterback this year, and you guys, again, there's such consistency at quarterback with what Talia did. What is it like for the program? And from like a defensive standpoint, right? What can you do to, I don't know if it's like help that quarterback get ready, but just make sure that like the defense takes care of its business, knowing that like, hey, whoever plays, and we know that Maryland has, probably 3 different guys who could start a quarterback for you. All right, we'll handle our business on defense until maybe the offense is up and running the way it needs to be.
Right. We got to give them the ball back. So anytime we're out there on the field, we got to give them the ball. And I think on defense, we pride ourselves in that. We don't want to let our teammates down. That's not only defensively, that's offensively too. We want to get our offensive ball back. We want to give them opportunities to go score as many points as they can. Yeah. So that's our goal going into each week. You know, yes, we have defensive goals. You know, we want to limit this amount of points, this amount of rushing yards, passing yards, the whole 9. But at the end of the day, you want to give your offense the ball as many times as you can to give them more opportunities to let them get in the box and get in the end zone. So that's our goal, man. As a unit, as a defensive unit, we want to, be out the field in 3. Because I promise you, I don't want to play 20-yard drives, 20-play drives, and that. So yeah.
Ruben, who's a guy on this Maryland defense that's flying under the radar right now that you think will be a pretty big piece of what y'all do?
Glendon Miller, point blank.
Why do you say that?
Glendon Miller is a guy who can go first round. And if you need me to say more, then you just got to look up Glendon. Yeah, Glendon Miller.
Okay,
that's the guy.
Okay,
that's our dark horse. That's the chocolate chips to the cookie. That's all that. Glendon Miller.
What year is he?
5th year. We came in together.
Okay,
Glendon Miller.
I love it.
That's the guy.
There's no better way to get affirmation than like a teammate knows. Yeah, right. 100%. Like a teammate knows. You're not blowing smoke. Like you know who's got something.
He is a guy.
Yeah. You want to talk some college football since you're a college football analyst?
Might as well.
Right? How big a deal do you think it is that Nick Saban retired?
A huge deal. Our head coach stems from his tree.
Absolutely.
Sarkisian at Texas stems from his tree. Kirby Smart stems from his tree. I'm leaving a lot of people
Absolutely.
out.
Jimbo Fisher, although Jimbo doesn't have a job right now. Lane Kiffin.
Yes. Like they all stem from that tree. And with him exiting college football, it's like your favorite president leaving office. Yeah. It's like, breaking up with your girlfriend that you had for 5+ years that you really loved, but she did something very terrible and you had to drop her. That's what it's like. He's a pivotal piece. He's a pivotal piece to the sport of football in general.
I did 3 shows on Saban retiring. Everything you just said was better than anything I said in those 3 shows.
I don't mean to outshine you, man.
I might just leave.
I'm just being me. I'm just being me, man. Come on.
My career is dying right in front of you because Ruben's coming for me.
Don't leave, man. Don't leave.
Do you got when there's such a seismic shift in the sport, the greatest of all time, Nick Saban retiring? Do players feel that? Do players feel okay, this is a reset in college football? Yeah. Why not us? Why don't we go take the spot now?
Definitely. When you have a power figure, like a figurehead like that, leave the game. Obviously you don't think less of the team. It's just more so the kingpin is not there anymore. We can possibly make something happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, I respect the game too much to think that, okay, someone leaves, now we can go, take it over.
Yeah.
Like we've arrived. Like I respect the game too much. Like he's done a lot for the game. I actually met him one time. I was being recruited by him, and I went to a camp and I met him, sat in his office. He offered me a scholarship. Great guy. But yeah, I mean, he's a mastermind at what he does. He's great at what he does. So like I said, when someone like that leaves the college football world, it's definitely well deserved, but it's definitely a big shift for sure.
Did he use the button to close the door in his office?
Yes.
Oh, that button, man.
Sat down in there to use the button, the big chair, cross his legs like so and cross his hands and all that, the whole presentation.
I always wonder, like the theory, like, is it the man or is it the button?
It's the button.
Kellen DeBoer has the button. He's good to go, man.
Because it suspensefully closes, like like
slow.
Man, I hope Nick didn't take the button. That was probably in the contract. Leave the button.
Yeah.
Leave the button. So when the people want to find you, when they get tired of watching our show and they want to watch you and your teammates, tell them again where they can find you.
Yeah. So the podcast is called One Speed Entertainment on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter.
Awesome.
One Speed Entertainment. My personal, Ruben Knows on Instagram, Ruben Knows 1 on Twitter. And, all the links from those sites will, take you out wherever you want to go.
Okay. When you get out of here and you start your media company and stuff and we're applying for jobs later, don't forget us, man.
I won't,
Please,
man.
please don't.
How can I?
Look at this. He's our guy.
How can I?
Ruben Hyppolite, watch him on the field with the Maryland Terrapins this year and then listen to him off the field. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Joined now by Kamren Fabiculanan, the safety from the University of Washington. Thanks for joining us here on Kings of the North.
Thank you for having me.
Can I drop a number on you?
Yeah, drop a number.
2,312 days. Do you know what that means? It's 2,312 days.
Since the national championship?
Since you committed to Washington.
Oh, wow.
6 years, 3 months, and 28 days. You are a Husky through and through.
I bleed purple and gold.
That's a long time, man.
That is a long time.
And a lot has happened in the time here for you. But when you think about the 6 years, 3 months, and 28 days since you committed to Washington, like what do you think about? What do you think of the whole experience?
Man, that's a crazy number, but I'm grateful for it all. I think, one thing in life that's guaranteed is change. And, I feel like I've experienced college football. I've been at the low, reached the highest of the highs last year. And, I'm grateful for it all. And I wouldn't want to change it for any other experience.
Isn't that a crazy long time, Bill?
It is a crazy long time. And especially the Washington program, this is what your fourth head coach you're on now, right?
Fifth if you count the interim.
Fifth if I count BG. Yeah.
So, and we're at a time when players can kind of come and go as they please. Coaches certainly can, and yet you stuck it out up there in Seattle. Why'd you stay?
Yeah, I mean, I was always told growing up, to just persevere and be persistent. And just shout out to my parents for instilling that through me. And I think just being out in Washington and experience it all, I love it out there. I think I love Husky Nation. I love Seattle. I love everything about it. And that's a kid coming from Southern California.
Yeah. We know that we know Washington's had success, right? Recruiting Southern California. But when you're a kid down there, what's appealing about Washington? Because I assume you could have gone, maybe somewhere a little nicer weather, right?
For sure. I mean, appealing is just the culture, the tradition, the stadium, everything about it. I think you experience all 4 seasons for sure. I mean,
we're pro all 4 seasons. We like all 4 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, just everything about it. I think you get to, you have the city life right there. And then you have the beautiful lakes and just going out on the water. I think, personally, the summers out in Washington are better than the ones in Southern California.
Oh, wow.
That's the kind of thing we want to hear.
Yeah, makes me want to get out there.
Because we have the UCLA athletic director on, and he started doing a commercial for Southern California the other day. You're like, listen, man, not here. This is Kings of the North. Southern California is great, but also places like Washington are great that we want to remind people.
The scenery, the green, the amount of green the trees is out there. It's just beautiful.
So go ahead. Go ahead, Bill.
I was just asking if he's played in the snow before.
Oh, let's bring that.
Yeah.
Snow?
Have I played in the snow? No, but I've played. It's like hail. It almost hailed. It was like hailing, actually.
We'll take that. That counts.
Ice counts.
Yeah. At Washington, it was hailing?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It was a 2021 Oregon.
Oh, wow. So did you think like,
One of
oh,
the
it's
cold- one of
fun,
the-
it's
one of the cold-
hailing? Or like, why is this happening?
Yeah, I mean, it was cold. It was just cold. That's all I could think about.
Well, you guys are, in this conference, especially when you travel November, December, if you're playing in a playoff game, like you're going to experience some of that. But it feels like you guys at Washington and probably the guys at Oregon, probably a little more ready for that than perhaps the guys at USC and UCLA.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, coming from California, you experience one season and the sun's always out.
Yeah.
But experiencing the rain, the snow, definitely it's different.
Yeah.
So I think we've reached the point in college sports, and I think fans understand this now, where we shouldn't be criticizing any player who transfers, right? Guys, you have one career, you have one opportunity, you have to look out for yourself. And if some place is going to be a better situation for you, then so be it. But I still think we can live in that world and be understanding of that and still appreciate guys who stick it out and stick around. And so have you ever gotten any kind of feedback from fans of the Huskies about like, hey, man, we appreciate you being here? Because I think some people still get upset, but like a lot of guys did leave. And again, people have opportunities, but you are a Husky forever.
Yeah.
What do people think of that?
I mean, Husky Nation, the best fans out there actually in the nation. I got a lot of appreciation and it means a lot to me. I walk around, we have this little village called U Village, a couple restaurants, a couple stores here and there, and I just get recognized and they just tell me, we appreciate you for staying, and it means the world to me. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate them as well for supporting me.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. You guys, I mean, you set a new bar, I think, for Washington last year with what you guys did. You got a new coach, pretty new roster, new conference. What's it going to take for you guys to kind of sustain and not kind of lose any ground as you move into the Big Ten?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a lot of change and it happened fast. But just building that brotherhood, I think we win because we have a brotherhood that's unbreakable. And, when we step on that field, I could look to my person to the left and right in front of me and tell him I love him and just go out there for him.
So I think we've talked a lot about the change, but I think the one thing people haven't talked about is you were probably sick of playing Arizona and Arizona State, right? What's so great about playing Cal and Stanford all the time? Now you get to do some new stuff. It's new and interesting.
No,
That's
sure.
good.
I mean, yeah, I'm excited to compete and play against new teams. But at the end of the day, I tell everyone football is football. I've been doing it since I was 5-6 years old.
Yeah.
2 + 2.
Were you always safety? Like how have you progressed positionally throughout your football life?
Yeah. I first started at wide receiver. My very first year was ever at receiver. And then I did like 4 or 5 years at quarterback, receiver. And then in high school, I played receiver and corner.
Okay.
And then I guess my freshman and sophomore year, nickel, and then transitioned into safety.
Okay.
We've been talking all offseason, like who's going to, before Will decided to come back, like who's going to play quarterback for Washington. Cam can do it.
Yeah.
He's got it in his back.
Emergency QB. Get a little red zone
I
package.
tell him I got a good throwing form. If you see my form, it's up there.
What was it like going against that offense in practice last year? Your own offense, the Washington offense.
It was fun. I mean, we were super competitive, obviously. A lot of draft picks, damn near the whole offense. I mean, it was just iron sharpens iron, going against Rome, JP, J-Mac, going against Mike, Roger, Troy, all those guys. I think it just made me better. And to go against them every day was a blessing.
What's it like being, because your offense was so good and like historic in some ways last year that sometimes your defense got overlooked a little bit.
Yeah.
Were you guys cool with just sort of like flying under the radar? Because you guys were good enough to get the national championship defensively. Were you okay with or was there any part of you like, hey, we're pretty good on this side of the ball too?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we would get that a lot last year. But at the end of the day, it's a team sport. We complement each other. Offense, if the offense is struggling, we'll step up. If the defense is struggling, they can step up. But like I said, it's complementary football. So we didn't really listen to the outside noise, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So when you came over here, we were told that people call you Cam Fab.
Cam Fab.
Do your teammates call you that? Like, do your professors call you that? Does your family call you that?
Yeah. So I have an older brother, and growing up at the Westlake High School, they were always calling him Fab, F-A-B, the first three letters of our last name, because our last name is just too hard to say to some people. And then just transitioning to college and all that, everyone just calls me Cam Fab. Like, I don't know how it started, or maybe because my older brother started it, but yeah, people just call me Cam Fab. My teammates, coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll just always hear them say Cam Fab.
I would like, if you started a clothing line or something, like I would wear a Cam Fab. Like if I opened up my jacket and said Cam Fab right
I for
there.
sure like thought about it, but there's this brand. Have you ever heard of Fabletics?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like Fabletics. Like, where's the NIL deal with that?
Yeah. We're asking
hit me up.
Come on, man. He's a loyal Husky. He played in the national championship game. Like, let's get a deal going here.
Man.
Cam Fabletics. All right. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to celebrate college football and facilitate NIL deals. We'll make this happen for you. Cam, best of luck to you this season, and thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was a privilege.
It's not a privilege. It's not a privilege. It might have been a pleasure, though.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Very pleased to be joined on Kings of the North by Minnesota running back Darius Taylor. Darius, I think you are the best running back in the country that no one's talking about. Or maybe you're just the best running back in the country, period, whether people talk about you or not. First of all, like, how are you feeling? I know last year was a little rough injury-wise. Kind of held you out of a few games. You feeling good going into this season?
Yeah, I feel really good. I've taken a lot of steps to taking care of my body and taking myself to that next level. Being a pro early, as our coach says. I think that this offseason has given me the opportunity to understand my body and things that I need to do to be able to play at the level that I need to.
I was looking at some stats from last year, and I guess you didn't play enough games to qualify, but if you did, you would have led the country in rushing yards per game. Were you aware of that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm aware of it.
You're aware of how many yards you ran for, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's a big testament to my O-line and tight ends. They did a great job last year just protecting me and giving me holes to run through, honestly. And then obviously Coach Fleck and Coach Harbaugh, Coach Nick McKissick, Luke for preparing me for last season. They did a great job of getting me sped up to the speed that I needed to be at coming in as a true freshman. So I think that they did a great job as well.
What did it take for you to be mentally, physically ready to kind of take on the workload that you did take on as a true freshman last year?
I think that, like I said, a big testament to Coach McKissick, Luke. He did a great job of just helping me understand how to embrace the physicality of the position and understand that, like, I'm never going to feel 100%, and I just got to keep pushing through certain things. And I think that I fell short in some of those like games just because of injuries, because of just the learning curve that I was going through, like understanding, like I said, how to take care of my body. But I think that the coaches, they allowed me to just be me last season, and they just kind of let me loose.
Yeah,
to be honest. So
I know that the entirety of the season did not go the way you wanted because you weren't available for all of it. But when, like as I said, when you were out there, I think you were unquestionably one of the best running backs in the country last year. Were you surprised by the breakout, or did you think, like, if I get my opportunity, man, I'm going to make the most of this thing?
One thing that I've always said, just on every team that I've joined, like coming into high school, I said, once I get my opportunity, I'm not going to let it go ever again. That was my biggest thing is I understood that I was a true freshman coming in, and as a running back at Minnesota, it's tough to play as a true freshman just because we always have great guys in the room, great talent. So I understood that once I got my opportunity, I couldn't really let it slip by me. That's something that Coach Fleck emphasizes a lot, is once you everybody gets an opportunity. It's what you do with your opportunity when the time comes. And I feel like once I got my opportunity, I took advantage of it. And I think that just led me to success. I mean, I was going to be me regardless. Darius is going to play like Darius. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to hold myself to the highest standard at all times. So once I got my opportunity, I knew that I had to go.
What's it like playing for Coach Fleck? He's kind of got a bit of a larger than life personality. Is when the PJ Fleck that we see out here at media days, is that who he is all the time?
Yeah, he always has energy. Yeah. That never really goes away. It's not like he forces us to have energy every day, and he doesn't want anybody to be like him. He lets you be your own person, and he understands that people are different, but he won't allow you to walk around mosey and down on yourself or act in some type of way. He wants you to always have an aura to you and be elite and have perspective. And that's something that, like, I think that he's done a great job of instilling in me is a perspective that you need to have. Like, we have children in the Minnesota Children's Masonic Hospital that are going through things that are way bigger than football, or way bigger than a hamstring strain or shoot, even a broken leg. Honestly, they have terminal illness. So he puts a lot of things in perspective, and we do a lot of work in the hospital. So I think that he kind of instills in us that like the least you can do is have energy. The least you can do is have a smile on your face. So that's really big.
You're from Detroit, Michigan.
Yes.
How'd you end up at the University of Minnesota? What was that path like?
I mean, I love Coach Fleck, and I just loved the campus. Is really cool to be in the city. I didn't really know if I wanted to be in the city or if I wanted to be on a college campus, like, you know, college town, just nothing else around. But I just think that, I mean, it was the right fit for me, honestly. I mean, I've just followed my gut my whole life, even with high school. Like where I went to high school, I just followed my gut and just went to Wall Lake Western and look where it's got me. And now I'm in Minnesota and I've had some success. So I think that it's just been the best choice, one of the best choices I've made in my life.
I've been to Minneapolis a couple times, covered a couple games at your campus. It's a beautiful campus. It's an amazing city. And like when I think of like the package that the University of Minnesota has to offer, I always think to myself, like, man, this place could really take off if enough people find out about what's going on up there, just like as a program. I mean, and I know you guys have been a very successful winning program and everyone's always looking to take that next step. So where do you think you guys are in, you know, wanting to be consistently competitive at the top of the Big Ten?
I think that, I mean, we have great coaches and players. I think that we just have to put it all together and come together as a team. I don't feel like we're missing anything, to be honest. I feel like our coaches are more than capable enough to lead us to that, lead us to where you say we want to be or where we should be. And I think that our players are phenomenal players. We have players on defense, special teams, and offense that can get it done all over the field. So I don't really think that we're necessarily short anything. I just think that we have to bring things together and play. Honestly, you know, just make the plays when we need to make the plays.
Well, we're excited to watch you guys play this year. We're excited to watch Darius Taylor carry the ball a whole lot for the Minnesota Golden Gophers this year. Thanks for joining us on Kings of the North.
Thank you.
Joined now by Michigan safety Makari Paige here on Kings of the North. Thanks for stopping by.
I appreciate you.
You are of the North through and through, right? Grew up in Detroit?
Yes, sir.
Why was Michigan the right place for you? Like, did you ever, like sometimes the schools come in and they have the sunshine and they're down south.
Yeah.
Like, did you ever consider any of those schools?
Not really. I kind of want to be close to home, my family. I chose Michigan because more so just education part and football part, kind of like the combination of those two.
Yeah.
Were big. And also I grew up watching Michigan football. My dad, my brothers. So, you know, to be able to go here and play for Michigan was kind of like ideal for us. What was it like watching Michigan football growing up? It was like every Saturday. It was like a perfect Saturday. It was like every Saturday watching Michigan football was like a perfect Saturday. So yeah, it was also like seeing Jabril, Bernard, watching them grow up, and seeing them in person. Like as I get here and like, you know what I'm saying. That's two good guys to be watching, man. Yeah, no, for sure. So they brought some juice to Michigan, man. Definitely. Did you ever play any games in the snow when you were in high school or anything? High school? I can't say I have. No. Okay. We got to get a snow game for you then, man. Maybe. Yeah, we need one. Would you want a snow game or like? I'm not against it. Okay. Yeah. That's good. Because like, I mean, you want to be able to show off your skills and stuff, but you're not afraid of a little snow. Not at all. Okay. Not at all. One of the things that I think was so great about Michigan's defense last year and continues to be is like, you guys really played a lot of guys, right? And that, so it creates a situation where you lost a bunch of guys from last year, but you also have so much back. Yes. Why was your defense able to play so many guys last year and get them experience? And I think it probably mattered when you get to the end of a long season, going 15-0, helps keep guys fresh a little bit. What's the key to being able to play that many guys? I mean, you got a lot of guys with a lot of talent. I mean, it's hard to keep them off the field when they are good players. So I think Coach Minner, the goal was to keep guys healthy later on in the season when teams got, you know, a lot of guys, other teams, they get a little, you know, injuries at the end of the year. But it kept guys fresh and ready to roll. And now this year, you know, we got guys who got that experience that has played football, you know, them years past. That can ready to step into a bigger role. Okay. So we've like, you know, heard people talk about it and read the stories about, obviously what you guys had done under Mike McDonald was great, and what you did under Jesse Minter was great defensively. And now here comes Wink Martindale, who sort of helped create the defense that those guys ran. Is there much of a difference in what you guys are doing defensively? Is there no difference? And Coach Martindale, you know, he's been around in the NFL, but he hasn't been in college for a while. So I'm just curious, like, how different things are for you guys defensively. It's not too much different. You know, every coach got their own thing they want to, you know, do inside the defense, but it's very similar. Okay. What was it like
what has it been like with Michigan fans since you won the national title?
I feel like you can recognize more.
I was going to say, can you walk down the street or like?
Yeah, I can walk down the street without people seeing or like noticing me. But like sometimes, like it could be like an occasion, like say like if I'm with some other teammates too.
Yeah,
we all like say it's like 3 of us, and we all big guys.
Okay,
like, they got to kind of like figure like, oh, you play football or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's definitely been like more noticeable. Like some people may like know just because we won the national championship,
right?
But yeah, it's been pretty much the same though.
Okay. What was it about, do you think, Sharon Moore, that when Coach Harbaugh left, that he was the right man for Michigan?
I mean, just Coach Moore being Coach Moore. I mean, he was under Harbaugh for a minute. Coach Harbaugh knows how Coach Moore is. He knows the passion he has for the game, the energy he brings to the game. So it only made sense. I mean, yeah.
Okay. Your schedule this year is crazy.
Yep.
You guys know this, right?
Yep.
But it's like Texas is going to be good. Oregon's going to be good. USC's coming in there. That might be pretty good.
Yep.
Ohio State's going to be pretty good. Do you want to play all those great teams? Do you think you're the defending national champs. You're a great team. But like, man, sometimes I look at it and it's like, this is going to be a test this year for you guys.
I mean, it's an opportunity for us to go out there and showcase what we can do against these top teams.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's a great opportunity to play these teams. We welcome that, we want that. We want it any other way. So,
okay. Sure. What do you think why have you guys been so successful against Ohio State recently? Is there something, is there something in your attitude or anything, or is it just like talent and playing great on Saturday?
I just think it comes with, the culture we have at Michigan, the coaching staff, the game plan they create, and how bad we wanted to win. The players, we all come together, and we know what time it is when we play Ohio State.
Okay. What was it? Can you just tell me, take us to the moment. I'm never going to win a national championship in anything. I'm never going to be the champion. What was the immediate feeling like when the game ends and you are a college football national champion? For the rest of your life, whatever you do, you're that.
Honestly, after the game ended, it kind of didn't hit me for real till probably 2 months later that we
really
won the game. Yeah. For me, other people, people were crying, but for me, it just didn't hit me until later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys got rings?
We got rings.
You wear it?
I don't really wear them now.
Okay. What do you do with it?
I just keep them in a case.
I'd wear it every day, man.
Really?
I'd be walking around being like, hey, you see my ring? Check out my ring here.
Yeah.
So, okay. You're humble about it, right?
I guess, yeah.
Okay. He's Makari Paige. I'm really curious to see what Michigan is like this year, because I think it's great for college football when Michigan is back like this. And you guys are playing a banger week 2, man. We're going to find out right away. How great is that? We're going to have 2 of the best programs in the country. Bang.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Excited for that one.
Thank you for joining us here on Kings of the North, man.
Appreciate it.
Joined now by Jeffrey Bassa, one of the very best linebackers in the Big Ten. Isn't that weird to say? One of the best linebackers in the Big Ten. He was one of the best linebackers in the Pac-12 last year at Oregon. Thanks for joining us on Kings of the North.
No, thank you for having me. It's an honor.
You're from Utah.
Yes, sir.
You chose to go to Oregon.
Yeah.
Lots of places that maybe were a little bit warmer, right? We're coming after you. How did you make your decision to be a Duck?
Yeah, I think it just went down to noticing that I had an amazing opportunity to just go up to a prestigious university, right? And, be a contender for a national championship, whether that was going to be my freshman or my senior year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what other schools did you consider in recruiting? Who did you really think about?
Yeah. So my final 3 was Oklahoma State, Utah, and Oregon.
Okay.
Yep.
What'd you think about you're a Utah guy. What'd you think about Utah growing up?
I liked Utah a lot. I had a great relationship with all those coaches on that staff. I still have a great relationship with them to this day.
Nice.
Last year, kind of when we play them pregame, going up to them and saying what's up or whatever, kind of, no bad blood, right?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
You don't want to burn bridges, right?
At all.
You're a good guy. Someone's going to be sad in recruiting. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're probably like, oh, Jeffrey, we could have used you.
Yeah.
Did you play in the snow ever in high school in Utah?
Yeah. So I think I had 1 snow game.
Okay.
I know I had a lot of snow practices, but it always snowed when it was the championship game, and we never made it to the championship game. We make it to semifinals, quarterfinals.
Yeah.
We knocked out, but
you want snow or no? You like snow? Play in the snow?
Man, it really don't matter to me.
Okay, you'll play in whatever, right?
Yeah, I'm playing whatever.
Okay, so we've been thinking about this. We're sitting on a microphone talking about college football all the time. Where Oregon is right now, I think talent, coaching, resources, attractiveness to recruits, right across the board. Do you feel like you guys can compete with anybody in college football?
100%. Yeah. I think, just from the resources and then all the way to the coaches, right? We have the coaches that have had, one national championship.
Yeah.
We have coaches that have, seen a lot of guys get drafted, in multiple years. We have coaches that have, came from all over the nation, right? And then we also have the resources and the facilities to back that up as well. So I think, we're, if not one of the best universities in the nation.
So I there's something interesting here. I think people are motivated when things don't go the way they want them to, right? I mean, that drives a lot of people. For instance, in this conference right now, Michigan's beaten Ohio State 3 years in a row, and that motivated a lot of the Ohio State guys to stay and try to do it this year. Michigan obviously won the national title. You guys had a great year last year, but you lost twice to Washington. Washington made the national championship game. They had a great year. They've lost so much. But you guys, you are a great team. You have every opportunity, but you didn't quite get where you wanted to get last year. That's fair to say, even though you had a great year.
Right.
What does that do for anybody, for a program, for a player, when you're like, man, we're really good, but it wasn't quite what we wanted it to be?
Yeah, I think it adds more fire to the fuel, especially to the guys that are coming back.
Yeah.
I know we had a lot of guys that decide that had an opportunity to leave and go and enter the NFL draft. And we had a lot of guys that, wanted to, whether that's enter the transfer portal or, go on about their lives. Right. But we had guys that wanted to come back and wanted to, and realize that played on that team last year that realized how close we were, just like you said, right? There were, like, both games, there were little things that we literally could have fixed that could have changed the whole outcome of the game. And it's like, okay, let's bring the pieces back. Let's get even better. Let's recruit even better. Bring in guys from, just like you said, Washington, bring in guys like Jabbar Muhammad, bring in guys like Derek Harmon, bring in guys that are, that are elite on their old teams, build literally a super team.
That's a strong word, but I don't disagree with it. When you think about, when you watch your rival Washington go that far, do you think like, you got us, tip of the cap? Or were you like watching the national championship game being like, man, that could be us? Like, are you mad, or do you respect it when a team you know so well has a season like that?
Yeah, I think it was really 50-50. Honestly, a lot of respect to that team. I think, Coach DuBois and that staff did a great job coaching those guys last year, and they had a lot of success throughout the season, especially seeing those guys twice. Me on defense, that offense was special to play against. Yeah. Right. I think Michael Penix led that offense very well. And then as well as, that whole team, I think they really did a good job last year. Right. And then also, watching that championship game, it was kind of like, oh man, like we were literally so close, like literally just noticing the players and what they did. It was like, wow, like, okay, like I did that better than he just did that to him. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, it was definitely 50-50. There was some fire in me watching that national championship game for sure. So
nothing quite like a really talented team that is fired up.
No doubt.
I think that's Oregon this year.
Yes, sir. 100%.
Jeffrey Bassa, welcome to the Big Ten. We'll look forward to watching the Oregon Ducks and you guys this year. Best of luck, man.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor. Thank you.
That's it. We're leaving Indy, Landis. How'd we do for 3 days?
Pretty good, I think. Yeah, pretty good. I'm pleased with how this went. And, I was a little upset that maybe some of the coaches we didn't get, but then we got Mike Katic and it was fine.
Yeah. We were like watching PJ Fleck for like 90 minutes, and we were like, is he on his phone? Is he coming over here? Why is he talking to that guy? Is he going to come over here? And it felt like they said PJ Fleck was busy, and we're like, is he?
Doesn't look that busy.
He doesn't look that busy, but we'll get him next year when we're back with a banner that says Paul Finebaum can cram it and Kings of the North on the other one. Thanks to our great producer, Mike Yorostowski, who's been here all week running things, making sure we look good and sound good. And we really appreciate you guys being part of it. We're going to leave Indy. We're going to keep talking about Northern College football. We hope to get out on the road maybe a little bit in August and see some of these teams at camps. We have some stuff coming up about like the Washington and Oregon and their fan bases joining the Big Ten, how everybody feels about that. We're going to welcome 2 new schools officially to the North, and we're going to camp start soon, right?
Yeah. I know August 1st is a start date for Ohio State. I don't know the dates for everybody, but I would imagine by like, I don't know, 2 Mondays from now, everyone will be rolling. Yeah.
All right. Thanks to you guys for joining us. For Mike, for Bill, I'm Doug, and that was Kings of the North.